I'll try to tell you why I think being shocked but not surprised. Not surprised comes from I've seen this event not just in the 3 Teslas I've had, but I've seen this also in other accidents that I've investigated. I'm not surprised, but I am shocked that once again they have technology out in the field that I don't think is ready for prime time.
Right.
And when you introduce technology out into the wild when it's premature, there's some learnings, but at what cost?
Hi, my name is Junko Yoshida. This is a podcast show named Junko's Talk to Us. Today we have a guest, Mike Nelson. He is the founder and attorney of Nelson Law. He is also a founder of technology startup called Quantum Risk. And Mike can explain a little bit about this startup because this startup is all about unlocking the data recorded by car makers. But first, Mike, I want you to hear in your own word what exactly you do and who you are.
Thanks, Junko, and thanks for having me on. The tech company and the law firm and do many of the similar things. We're both are evaluating how the future of mobility is going to work and how to assess when things go wrong, what happened. But I approach it from the legal side as a lawyer and think about the legal ramifications of that and how do we address the assessment of liability. The quantum risk stack is just a means to take the data and video from automobiles, high-tech automobiles, and we're not talking about black box data, we're talking about the data that's running through these cars continuously. And that's called vehicle performance data. And we take vehicle performance data and video, and that's all the data that's being generated by the car and captured by the car, because they are capturing data independent of the running. And when there's an event, we evaluate what happened, how much responsibility in the data belongs to the human being, and sometimes how much responsibility belongs to the vehicle manufacturer or possibly others. But it's usually that those 2 primary components. And that's really become an important part of the discussion from the standpoint of what I do, but also increasingly people are realizing how much data there is and what the value of that data is, especially when you can match it with the video of what took place. So that Tesla event that we're going to be talking about today is a perfect illustration of how the tool can be used.
So the data you're referring to here is data is being captured and stored in the cloud. Is that correct?
Right. Now, this car didn't have an accident. So there's 2 ways Tesla is probably many ways, but there's 2 primary ways that the data comes off the car. There's a continuous flow of data from the car to a cloud. And if there's an accident, there's a special set of data, same kind of data, that beams off the car to a cloud. That happens when there's airbag deployment or a crash algorithm wake up. And when one of those 2 things happen, the car itself will ship a bucket of data and video to Tesla's clouds because they care about an edge case.
Yeah.
Care about when the system didn't work and they want to understand what happened. So as Elon Musk once said, accidents are very important to them, but not for the reasons you might think. Like, I want to know how to. I want to know when my product didn't work. That's not the way it's expressed. I want to know when the product didn't work so we can tune the machine better.
Ah.
And
Never mind what happened to the other person.
well, I mean, those I'm sure if you put them on the spot, say, "Oh no, we care about safety, we care about other people," but
Right.
this is primarily about machine learning.
Yeah.
And figuring out when the edge case happened.
Yeah.
And this event you want to talk about is an edge case.
Okay. So, well, let me set the stage because what happened, this is the video captured by Sandy Monroe and engineers at the Monroe Associates when they got a ride in Tesla's Robotaxi in Austin recently. And this video has been making rounds in the internet. And what happened in that video, as far as I can see, was the Tesla turning from the wrong lane to the left. That was a legal left. And then next thing was actually even more interesting because Tesla Robotaxi does have not a safety driver, but they call it safety monitor. There's a human being is in the car. So he pushed the button and then the car magically stops, but car stops in the intersection. Essentially, it's a T-bone zone and sits there for more than 40 seconds. And then eventually car moves, turns left. So in this case, I just said, it was an accident. It never happened, nothing really bad happened. But at the same time, it's a terrifying 40 seconds for the person in the robotaxi. But for someone looking at the video, it's like, Jesus, what did it exactly happen? Is that how you read the video, Mike?
Yeah, there's one thing that precedes everything you just said, and that is there's a lane to make a left-hand turn out of,
Right.
and it's separated from the main traffic flow by a cement barrier.
Yeah.
And so it's not a high barrier, it's just a curb. So, you as a human being, if you approach this intersection, you want to make a left, you would be in the extreme left-hand lane, of course, but you couldn't move back to the straight lane.
Right.
You should be in this isolated lane with its own traffic control.
Yeah.
And then when you get the green light, then the vehicle would make the appropriate left-hand turn, but only a left-hand turn. It couldn't go straight.
Right.
The Tesla, for whatever reason, didn't pick up on the fact that there was this. It's a little bit unusual. You'll see line markings, but very rarely you see segregation of lanes like that.
Right.
But it's on the wrong side of the barrier.
Yeah, exactly.
It wants to make the left.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you are a human driver, I said, oh my God, I missed that left lane thing. So I'm just going to move on and turn left the next intersection when I can. No?
Yeah, or if there's a police officer sitting there and you're in a straight lane, you'll say, I'm going to go straight, and then I'll figure it out later on. But it compounded the problem, and everybody's wondering on the internet, and it'll be interesting to see how this story develops, whether that person who's in the right seat is really the safety driver, or if the safety driver is up somewhere else remote. If this person is pressing a button saying help, or if he's doing more than that, because nobody's quite sure what the role of that person is.
Yeah.
But regardless, this car then is now in the wrong spot to make a left-hand turn.
Yeah.
And it tries to make a left-hand turn, but it realizes, because there's signs above it saying straight, it realizes that, and again, you tend to think this machine is thinking. And, in many ways, from a behaviorist standpoint, it probably does react like it's thinking. So the car is stuck there and it's trying to figure its way out of the problem.
Right.
And so it freezes in the intersection, but now it's in the intersection. It's blocking cross traffic.
Already, yeah. Yeah.
And and so cross traffic that has the right of way coming from the right-hand side is
Right.
2 lanes, and now 2 lanes have to merge
Yeah.
to get around this Tesla that's in New York City, we would call it blocking the box.
Yeah.
And so the Tesla just sits there, and then it decided, and I don't know what the criteria for the decision, but it decided it was safe enough to make a left-hand turn anyway.
Yeah.
And that's probably because the traffic had been slowed on the right by it obstructing the lane of travel, and then made a left-hand turn on that red light when it was only supposed to go straight.
Straight.
So
Yeah.
some of my posts on this, I said I counted at least 5 traffic violations. There's probably so many more.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
the and some of the commentary, there's one Tesla employee who said, "What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Why are we overthinking this? We see people do this all the time."
Yeah.
Human error and car errors are completely different.
Yeah.
They and human beings are generally safer drivers, notwithstanding the comments by the Tesla employee that says Tesla
Yeah.
drive better than human beings are better drivers. We do think this technology is going to ultimately lead to safer roads, but this is deployment of technology that's not ready for prime time.
Yeah.
And in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the policies behind it, but in my opinion, this is being deployed so the car can learn, but also so they can say they got a Robotaxi, and so they don't lose market share. So it's I think it's premature on a lot of fronts, and they're under strict scrutiny right now. It'll be interesting to see what the Austin local government does about that,
Right.
and if they're allowed to continue. Let's face facts. They're a company now headquartered in Austin, so they're probably going to have some sway with local government. You can't get away from the fact that there's nobody in the driver's seat. So who's responsible for the car not making the correct lane decision? I would say
Right.
that's a pre-programmed software problem.
Yeah.
And then how to override the edge case is now a human problem. And it didn't do that well. If I'm in the wrong lane, even though the car's made the wrong lane change,
Yeah.
especially in this situation, and to your point is a human being may have done that anyway,
Yeah.
and maybe taken a chance they wouldn't get a ticket from turning from the wrong lane. But the safer bet, since they're in a lane that's only supposed to go straight, is to go straight and correct after that. Now, the fact that they got Sandy Munro in the back seat of all people filming this, it's obviously even higher stakes, but and of course it hits LinkedIn.
Yeah. No, that's true. But I think what I kind of zoomed in on this was that we're not singling out illegal left lane. We are singling out the systemic mistakes or systemic errors this Robotaxi, made, because as you said, not being able to recognize the left turn lanes, that was one. Why didn't they recognize that? And then second, who is that safety monitor guy, and what did he exactly do? Which button did it push, and what did that button do? We don't know that. And then we're sure that the teleoperators are somewhere sitting in, I don't know which area, which city, which state, which country, but teleoperator did intervene. But again, we don't know what these guys did or did not do in time, right? So it's sort of like you said in the very beginning statement, you said, well, this is one of the edge cases, but this shouldn't be an edge case if they learn properly how to drive, no?
Yeah, this shouldn't have been an edge case. It should have been programmed to recognize the traffic patterns.
Yeah.
I said I was shocked but not surprised. I mean, I think people always go back and forth as to what the meanings of that. I'll try to tell you why I think being shocked but not surprised. Not surprised comes from I've seen this event not just in the 3 Teslas I've had, but I've seen this also in other accidents that I've investigated, and it's so I'm not surprised, but I am shocked that once again they have technology out in the field that I don't think is ready for prime time.
Right.
And when you introduce technology out into the wild when it's premature, yeah, there's some learnings, but at what cost? And there's some
Yeah.
learnings there.
Yeah.
That's why it's not surprising to me because they've been doing this for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And it was I can tell you story after story of my Tesla in full self drive turning off a blacktop road into a dirt road and completely shocking some older woman who was taking her trash out. Very rarely expects to see traffic on her road.
Well,
It was going to do some kind of U-turn on her dirt road. And these cars, my Tesla will operate on a dirt road. It shouldn't. There's no lane markings,
right. Right.
but it will
Yeah.
because they're trying to learn as much as they can.
Yeah, that's a very good point. In your opinion, what must happen next? What's the responsibility of society? I mean, it's one thing for Tesla employees to defend Tesla, or it's kind of interesting in the weeds of social media. This discussion always turns into which is safer, Waymo or Tesla. This I'm really not interested in that because neither of them have been on the road long enough to say which is which, and that's really not the point. What's the responsibility of people who actually observe an incident like this?
Yeah, I think my biggest argument or position on all of this is we need greater data transparency.
Yeah.
And companies should be open about what happens in these events so that the public can be inspired that there are really smart people who will make sure this doesn't happen again.
Right.
The government at work, they you want to be trusting that the fix has been made so that when it's your turn to get into a Tesla in and around that area. And oddly enough, I've been in that area a lot in the last year, and I recognize that roadway, but it's right adjacent to a highway, and you can enter a highway there. So you want to understand and show me the data, and yeah, the public can't understand it, but others can.
Yeah.
Go, okay, well, here's what happened.
Yeah.
And Teslas then should be saying, yes, a mistake happened. It's unquestionable that a mistake happened.
It happened. Right. Right.
Here's what we're going to do. Because I mean, you can't blame the backseat drivers. You can't blame. We're calling him the safety driver, but we don't know if he really qualifies as a safety driver as much as there's a warm body in the right seat that might be able to press a button. But
Yeah.
he clearly didn't make the left-hand turn. So
Right.
he's not the remote driver.
Right.
So he's the observer, if you will. So,
Yeah.
all right, how do we gain confidence that automation in general has learned from these mistakes and won't let it happen again? Because let's face it, a human being that makes that mistake, when they approach that intersection, they may not have been familiar with it.
Yeah.
Next time they're going to be familiar with it and learn from that mistake.
One caveat here is that it is using end-to-end AI, and that means we don't exactly know if the car learn the right lessons? How do you verify and validate? You mentioned that data transparency is important. I understand, but at the same time, how can engineering team at Tesla or people who are experts in safety matters, how can they verify next time this is not going to happen?
Well, yeah, there was a similar event, like 2 days after this all started in Austin, where a Tesla went left of center. The lanes weren't exclusionary lanes. It went left of center, went through an intersection, went left of center because it was going to make a left turn in the next intersection. But to line up to get into that turning lane, it went left of center, went straight, and was on the wrong side of the road, and then eventually made it into a turning lane. So it's not much different than this accident. This reports to government, but even under the standing general order,
Yep.
That's not solely related to this. It's anytime ADAS is in use of a car, reports have to be made to NHTSA. And I do have to be somewhat critical here of NHTSA in that they get these reports. And when the standing general order came out, it said, if you're going to claim any of this is somehow proprietary or privileged, send it to the general counsel's office. But that's going to be the really minor exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Tesla is reporting the most of these accidents, and almost all of this kind of data is reported as confidential and proprietary. And it's being sent to the general counsel's office. So you really can't get information about what Tesla's doing. There's not enough transparency there. And I do know that because we've had accidents where we've gotten an explanation from Tesla as to what took place. And then we go see what they've told the SGO. I told NHTSA on the SGO, and it's what's available is not any more than what they would tell us, which is limited. And so I suspect there's a lot more information being shared back and forth between NHTSA and Tesla. And I suspect that's also happening with other car manufacturers, but that's not the spirit of this general order. It was for greater transparency. We want to know, the public has a right to know as well, and show us when this stuff is in use. And if it screws up, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And the let's talk about it part is not happening.
No, that's true. Let's talk about that portion. It has become really the marketing vehicle for the car companies to make a claim, right? It's yeah, let's talk about something convenient to us.
Yeah, if you go to my LinkedIn, and this is not necessarily on the topic of Tesla, but there's a commercial running right now. Jurassic Park is doing a re-release, and there's a Jeep with a driver, and there's the lab rats watching him.
Teleoperators.
Yeah, on the side. So the lab rats, just like in the very first Jurassic Park, and they say, okay, now we're going to put him in a danger situation. And the driver goes, danger situation. And all of a sudden he's being chased by, I think, a T-Rex.
Yeah.
And the lab rat sits back very self-assuredly, and he goes, I don't know if he's going to survive, but we're getting great data. Now, really? Yeah, I don't even understand the ad. You know, why Jeep would want to tell people they're collecting great data, but
exactly.
you're getting great data because there's the threat of a dinosaur chasing the car, but it also speaks to how much data is coming off the car. We're at this crossroad where these things are very sophisticated robots. They do transmit data. Almost all cars entering the marketplace now have 5G.
Yeah.
And with that, vast amounts of data are going to the OEM clouds.
Yeah.
And then when you ask them for it, with very few exceptions, they say, no, it's our data.
Right.
And here's the irony of this. When you sign your ownership agreement, We're asked to say that, let's use Jeep, so we weren't on always, I'm picking on Tesla.
Right.
You're asked to say, yes, I'm buying this car. Yes, I want the data package or the entertainment package. And yes, I agree, you can use my data. People tend to focus on this paradigm of whose data is it?
Right.
It doesn't matter as long as it's made available.
Right.
So we can understand what happened.
Yeah. That's a great point. I mean, if that is agreement you already signed at the purchase, that clause actually has to go. The consumers need to demand that whatever happened to my car that I'm purchasing, that data will be available to me too.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of 3 battles with 3 different OEMs, not Tesla, to get data that
Yeah.
consumers want to understand what happened in their accident.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. This is great. So we're gonna have you back because I want to talk more about this the really the importance of collecting data, how you use data, how you actually leverage data. But that's for another session. Thanks for coming to the show, Mike, and I'm looking forward to our next discussion.
well, thank you very much. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me. So long.
Bye.